Hey everybody, Just Sports with John, and today I'm going to be doing a video on the NFL post-draft power rankings. So just want to remind you that this is not going to be a list of where I think teams are going to rank by the end of next season, or necessarily ranking of how I think they'll stack in terms of playoff success and all that. This is going to be more of a ranking of just after the draft, how I think their ability to be the best team in the league is. So I have four categories, and those four categories are playoff teams. So this will be like the 12 teams that I traditionally I think would be in the playoffs. And then the next category would be the teams that could make the playoffs. And then after that, we have up and coming teams. So these would be teams that I don't think they'll make the playoffs, but in 2 or 3 years, we could see them doing the playoffs. And then the fourth category is meh, although there's two teams I'm keeping my eye on a little bit, and we'll see. So with that being said, we'll start off with the playoff teams because we just want to get, I know everybody just wants to get to that. So number one, I have Chiefs. I think they'll retain. They pretty much retained everybody. They have their core coming back. They even added to their running back group. Just everything points to them being the same team and potentially getting back to the Super Bowl. Under that, I have the Ravens. And some of you might be like, Ravens, didn't they get knocked out in like second round? Well, yes, they did. And matter of fact, by the Titans. But I think they kind of got punched in the mouth, shell shocked. And I think they got surprised. And as much as I like to congratulate my team, the Titans, for winning that game, it just seemed like the Ravens could have done more, and I think the experience had a big factor in that. Number three, I have the Saints, and I just think this is probably it. This is probably it for Breeze. They're going to put all their chips into it and go for it. I think they're probably one of the most dangerous teams in the NFC, and that's ahead of the 49ers, who I have at number four. I'm not real sure about the defensive losses they had. I think they really overachieved last year with their running back group and to some extent their quarterback with Garoppolo, although I don't think they're that bad. So number four, I could still see them making it there again. Number five, I have the Seahawks. Really like the way they played. They had a lot of turnover like 2 years ago, and we saw their team kind of coming together at the end of the year there, and I think that might continue. And so I think Seahawks, as long as Russell Wilson stays healthy. Number six, I have the Vikings. Kind of, like they did lose two corners, but I think other than that, their team's going to pretty much be the same. You could argue about the receiver group, but it just seems like a team that can interchange some of those pieces and not lose too much. And I think their coach is one of those coaches that can coach consistently. Number seven, I have the Eagles. I think that they will be just as good, if not a little bit better. Number eight, I have the Packers. I would have the Packers better than the Eagles and the Vikings, but I hate their draft. Their draft sucked. They didn't do anything for Rodgers, and they didn't do much for their defense. So I'm not sure how they get better in this. I mean, at 13-3, it just seems like you're going to regress. Number nine, I have the Bills. They definitely got better. I'm just not sure how much better. That's another team I think experience will play a lot. Number 10, I have the Titans. Here, we were talking about how the Ravens underachieved. I think the Titans overachieved. I don't see us getting a whole lot better than what we were. They're about the same. Number 11, I have the Steelers. I think they just had a lot of bad luck last year, a lot of bad injuries. They should have been a playoff team, and they just weren't because of circumstance. So I think that changes this year. Number 12, Buccaneers. Tom Brady's going to make a huge difference there. Bruce Arians, another year there. They brought Todd Bowles over, who's been one of the most excellent defensive coordinators in the league. You got to like what they did with running back, what they've done with getting more protection for Tom Brady. You just got to like everything that's happening there. And I think they have a very good shot at making the playoffs, especially if the Falcons take a step back, and this is Dan Quinn's last year. Panthers will probably take a step back, so I definitely think the Bucs could make it. I don't know if they'd be better than the Saints, but I think they could be the second team coming out of that division. And okay, second category, teams that could make the playoffs. So I'm not sure these teams will make the playoffs, but I think they have a really good shot depending on what happens in their division. I think the top in that one are two: the Colts at number 13 and the Patriots at number 14. You got to like that the Colts added Phillip Rivers, Jonathan Taylor out of Wisconsin. They added another receiver. Yes, they lost Ebron, but it doesn't really matter at the tight end spot. Phillip Rivers throws more to receivers the last couple of years. So you got to like everything they did there. Their defense will be better. They brought over one of I think DeForest Buckner from the 49ers. So I could definitely see that team possibly getting in there. Patriots, man, you know, got to take Tom Brady out of his factor, and that's why I have Patriots maybe not making the playoffs, but still could. Still a lot of the same team despite Tom Brady. Cowboys, you got to like their draft. I mean, it may not have been what they should have drafted necessarily, but they got some real good talent, and that's kind of scary. And I'm not a big fan of Cowboys, but you have to look at their draft and the things they've done in the offseason and go, yeah. Texans, only by default because they did make it last year, and that division is still kind of weak. But again, remember, I had the Titans already in the playoff group and the Colts at the top of the maybe making playoff group. So again, it kind of depends on how these teams battle each other. Rams, I mean, they probably could have made it last year, but now without Todd Gurley, and didn't seem like they did a whole lot to upgrade, but their coaching's still pretty strong. Their overall team's decent enough, so it's a possibility. Raiders, they're getting a little bit better every year. I think a lot of it's going to depend on how good some of their draft capital equates to wins this year, and how their quarterback play is. Falcons, I kind of only have, they're the last team in this group, and I only have them there by default. Matt Ryan's, Super Bowl quarterback, has been there. I just don't have a lot of faith in Dan Quinn. I don't have a lot of faith in their defense. They lost Devonta Freeman. I mean, there's still a chance, but like I said, they're the last in that division for a reason, or last in that grouping for a reason. Now we got the up-and-coming teams. Now, the common thing that you're going to see with these teams is that most of them have a new quarterback or like second-year quarterback. Plus, they might have new coaches, a lot of new players. It's like their teams turned over in the last 2 to 3 year to 3 years. Jets are at the top of this list. That division just got messed up with Tom Brady leaving. The Bills, it seemed like they'd be the ones by default to getting, but there's really no other strong playoff team in that division. But the Jets probably have this next best quarterback behind Josh Allen. They have a really good running back in Le'Veon Bell. I don't care for their coach. They need better receivers. But they were 7-9 last year. So, if some of those guys' experience comes into play, then we'll see. Browns, I don't know where to put the Browns except for in this category. I just didn't know where in this category. A lot of talent, a lot of changeover, and we'll see if they can get it done. I kind of doubt it. That's a tough division with Steelers and Ravens being there too. Cardinals are in the wrong division. If they were in a lot of other divisions, I'd have them making playoffs. But you got to get past the 49ers and the Seahawks, and that alone is going to be tough. Not to mention the Rams games are still going to be tough. But you got to like where this team is heading. Getting DeAndre Hopkins, still having one of the other receivers from last year was really good. Protecting Kyler Murray, running back situation's decent. So, they're improving their defense a little bit here and there, and offensive lines. They're a couple years away, I think. Broncos, number 23. I don't have a whole lot to say about them. 24, Panthers. Teddy Bridgewater is the only reason I'm keeping him in this division. I think he's a decent quarterback, Christian McCaffrey, but they've got a lot of holes to fill still. But it seems like they're kind of trying to change their team a little bit, and we'll see where they go from here. Giants, of course, Daniel Jones and Saquon Barkley. They got to fix their receivers, fix their offensive line, and they did a little bit of that in the draft. So we'll see where that team heads. Chargers, obviously we know they drafted a quarterback. They still have Tyrod Taylor. They still got some good weapons. They're just in a rebuild mode a little bit. And then we have the meh, although I'm keeping an eye on the first two teams here, the Bengals and the Dolphins. Bengals, it finally looks like they're making some smart decisions. So, I still got them in this last category, but we'll see if next year if they don't jump. Dolphins, same thing. They need a lot of help in different areas. They had a ton of picks, I think they used their picks pretty well. You know, these are two teams that could be 2, 3 years away, but we'll see what happens with them. And now the rest of the teams are kind of just a mess. Bears, I don't know what they're doing. You bring in this Nick Foles. It doesn't look like you trust Trubisky. You got like 10 tight ends for why, and you brought in well, you had like 8 or 9 tight ends. You brought in like another one, Jimmy Graham, who's washed up. Just doesn't. You're not giving any help to the receivers, and not much help to the other phases of your team. I just don't get it. Lions, they just can't get out of their own way. I mean, Stafford looks like a good quarterback. They got another running back in DeAndre Swift, and we'll see how he does. And but the receivers could use a little help. They just, I don't know, bad coaching, bad drafting GM. That just whatever. Redskins actually do have some hope bringing over Ron Rivera. They're obviously in rebuild mode. They decided not to draft a quarterback, at least not one of any significance. They're going to try to ride out Haskins. They still have Alex Smith on the roster. We'll see if he comes back. I mean, this team is definitely 3 years away from any significance, but they do have a little bit of hope. And then Jaguars, Gardner Minshew and fans, good luck. I mean, I don't know what you have to work with there. Fournette looks like he's breaking down. Really don't got help with the receivers. So that's the list, and hope you guys enjoyed that. Leave comments, and don't forget to subscribe, and we'll see you guys later. Bye.